Hello. If anyone wants to unmute themselves, we can chat a little bit while people are entering the room. Say hi, or you can put something in the chat box. Hi. You can go ahead and unmute yourselves if you want. This is unless you have a lot of background noise. I guess my first question is, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you just fine.
Yeah, it's so quiet. I was starting to wonder.
We just logged in a bit early to make sure we could get in, but we're gonna chat here for a minute.
Yeah,
Start.
great. Thank you. Thank you for your answers in the chat. It's up to anyone if they want to chat or not, or unmute themselves or not. I know people have varying differences of what's going on in the background, family members, etc. So whatever works for you is good. Hello, hello. People are filing in one at a time. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We're just kind of waiting for people. Hi, Deb. We're waiting for people to come in, and it looks like we're up to 12. That's good.
Hello.
Hi. We're just admitting people one at a time here.
All right.
So if anybody wants to introduce themselves in the chat box, that'd be awesome. Where your name and where you're from and your seed library. Hi, Tina from Alpena County Library. Hi, Nick. I see you. I see you. It's up to you whether you want to put your lovely faces on here or not. I know some people are kind of shy about that. We definitely want to see you if you want to be seen. We're getting there. Oh, so we got Kim and Nicole from White Pine District Library. We got Geraldine from Howell Carnegie. Becky Kais from the Curtis Township Library. Thank you for the, now I'll know how to say it. Laura from Jonesville District, trying to start a seed library. Well, great, glad to have you here. I hope we can provide something, guidance, inspiration, help. Deb from Grosse Pointe. Hello, hello, hello. I know a few more people are supposed to be attending, so we'll hang on a little bit longer and give people a chance to get in here. I'd like to see Ben on here before we get started. He didn't make our last in-person meeting because he was out of town, so hopefully he's planning on being here. There he is. Hold on. Hey, Ben. Good to see you here. Hi, Tracy from Detroit Public Library. For the people that just come in, if you want to introduce yourself in the chat, that would be awesome.
Hello,
Hello.
I'm Mike Reister from Marquette, Michigan.
Hi, Mike.
And hello, I'm part of the Queen City Seed Library. And if you're in Marquette, the first week of November, you can join our seed swap.
Yeah, I think
More
that's
on
great.
that later.
I think it's
Pardon
great
me?
that you're partnering with the food co-op in Marquette.
Yeah,
I love that place. Every time I'm up there, I stop.
yeah,
And,
yeah. I'm very grateful that they've taken on such a important partnership role.
yeah. Well, maybe when we get down to about, supporting seed libraries and getting ideas, you can kind of expand on that a little bit.
Sure.
Well, it's a little bit after 4. I've got a couple more. Got couple more coming in. Give them a chance to get settled in. So, well, we're going to get started because we don't want to be on here till the wee hours of the morning. I'm trying to make it so it's not that long. Those of you who have just signed on, there's a chat function that you can, if you can introduce yourself in there, then, we got Ben. We've got Anna from Eaton Rapids and Jean from Salem South Lyon District Library and Aubrey from Farmington Community Library. So great. Those are our most recent additions. If you want to, we're kind of encouraging dialogue. So if you want to unmute and speak, go right ahead. This isn't, a one-man show here. We're hoping to hear from everybody about their experiences and their hints and their questions and comments. If you feel like you don't want to interrupt verbally, you can always put questions or comments in the chat and we'll get to them as soon as we can. Yeah, I guess no one's come in the last couple minutes, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And like I said before, if you want to show your lovely face, be our guest. If you don't, then that's fine too. Now, other than being the host of this, I have no powers in this group other than nagging people. That's kind of my superpower. But I'm hoping that we can become more cohesive group. I know Ben and I have been kind of talking about forming subcommittees to kind of move forward some of our efforts. So I'm hoping that we can, as we kind of move through this, I have this kind of rough itinerary or the, not an itinerary, agenda. But I guess the first thing while we're waiting for people to come in is the 2001 One Seed, One State initiative. Most of you, we had high hopes for it. We didn't see what was coming, obviously, or we might have done things a little bit differently. But since most libraries were closed for quite a bit of time, I don't know what we could have done. I guess I have most of your information from last year. We're planning on moving forward with this year. It's going to be a little different. We don't know if there's going to be, I don't know, Ben, are you still loosely planning on having the seed swap in February, or?
Well, we're still kind of up in the air about that. The venue that we host the seed swap, the Chippewa Nature Center, has some pretty specific restrictions on attendance and how many people we can have in there at a time. And with all the other state requirements, it seems like it would be very, very difficult to do. So we've kind of tossed around a couple of different ideas of potentially pushing it off until a little bit later in the spring, when it's going to be a little bit warmer outside. And at the homestead, they have a very large barn area that maybe we could set up there, use the barn as a shelter in case there is rain, but it's a nice, it's really beautiful outdoor area that we might be able to have a gathering there. Last year we had 500 people show up, and there'd be no way that we'd be able to have that many people anywhere near, with the restrictions that we have. So we're kind of really just tossing around. I was just speaking with the director at the Nature Center just the other day about that. And so if anybody has any thoughts on that, if you guys have more experience with gatherings and how you've been able to bring people together and still follow the requirements, I'd love to hear some ideas, because I'm really, really open to any ideas to make that work. But as of right now, we're kind of looking about pushing it off a little bit. What Mike's doing at the Queen City Seed Library, actually, I think is really a cool idea. And although that would never work for the scope of our seed swap, but possibly if we were to kind of replicate his concept at all of our different seed libraries, we'd be able to distribute lots of seed, and do it on a smaller scale like that might be the best way to get seed out to people right now.
Yeah, well, I feel like without a crystal ball, none of us can assume that there will be a rural library conference, Central Michigan Seed Swap, at least in its current form, or past form. So since I am in possession of all of the materials, I think we had about 8 libraries, comment that they still had their items from last year. I guess I'm going to move forward with using our interlibrary loan system. Some of you are in the TLN, the library network. That's easy. I could just pop them in delivery. The rest of you, or most of the rest of you, hopefully I can use Melcat to get them to you. There's a handful of seed libraries that don't fall into either of those categories. They either aren't in a traditional public library, or they're possibly not a member of Melcat. I don't know who isn't. So we may have a few special circumstances that we'll just have to deal with individually. But I think the majority of things, majority of the kits we can get out through some type of library delivery.
Remind me, Pam, do we have enough seed kits for every library that was interested in participating still?
I think so. I'm going to, through my library, I'm going to purchase, and I know Deb Lynch and a couple of others that did purchase extra provider seeds so that they could go beyond the amount that we were able to send out. And everybody, we can send out the files for the seed packet labels, and everybody you can actually give away as many as you want. We can, as a group, we can just offer, the 400 seeds, I guess, to each library. Yeah, somebody suggested that maybe for your seed swap, you could have people sign up for time slots, and max out each time slot to meet the recommendation of people able to gather outdoors.
That's a good idea. My concern with that, I guess, besides the logistics of just having to have people coordinate that, is that we have so many people that come to the seed swap that I don't know how they hear about it, where they come from. People come from multiple states away. They travel a long ways to come to it. And I think it'd be a nightmare as far as trying to coordinate that many people. But hopefully, and I guess I don't even know right now what the regulation is on outdoor gatherings.
And what it'll be then.
Or what it'll be then, But the homestead, I don't know if anybody here that we're chatting with is familiar with the Chippewa Nature Center at all, but the homestead area that they have 2, the new barn is quite large. and actually has a couple of rooms to it. And then the old wagon barn that's in the back is also, it's pretty good size. So, and then the schoolhouse and stuff. So we do have the potential to really spread ourselves out if we need to, and to accommodate however many people we could pack in there. And just being open like it is to the public, it's just so difficult to control who comes and when they come. I don't know how I would make it work if we had to limit that.
Yeah. I guess, and then someone said that the Melcat would work for their library. I guess if Melcat, if you are not a part of a library system, or if you could just email me and tell me how we would get a hold of you, that we can work out getting things to you. I've got to get this organized. As like I said, that there's a few people still have their stuff from last year. We have, fortunately, at the posters that we made, and shout out to Capital Area District Library, because they printed the posters for us to use as a donation. And my library printed the seed packet labels, and Deb from Grosse Pointe provided all the seed packets. So we have, and and Ben, Deb also donated some money, which we used to purchase more seeds. So I think we have all the raw materials. And of course, I scrolled away, I think, enough Amazon envelopes. They're not beautiful, but they get the job done. I think that, between the people that already have their things and the people that still need them, I think that we can do it. Like I said, with just a few people that might not have access to Melcat. And some of them, some people might, if they have a standalone seed library, they might have a library nearby that they could ask them to, receive the seeds and packet materials for them. So there's lots of ways we can work around this. So there's only the seed packets labels, fortunately, have no date on them. And the seed library poster, I don't know if I can, oh gosh, this is weird with that background. Oh well, there's just one little spot that says 2020 on it. And so I'm thinking, if anybody's got any ideas about how to cover up that little 2020 gracefully and put 2021 in there, hold on, I gotta let somebody in. So we can reuse those posters, because they were all printed on heavy duty paper, cardstock like paper, and we really don't want to just trash them. We want to reuse them. And so if anybody's got, we could just put a little label over it and write in 2020. Yeah, I was thinking of a sticker too. So we've got a little bit of time, but if I would like to start, so it's not such a big project in the spring. I want to start gradually sending these things out a few at a time. So somebody said stick a seed packet with 2021 over the top. Yeah, there's lots of things we could do. And the people that already have theirs, hopefully they can come up with something. You could just put a tiny little, like a return address label over it, possibly. Just so, yeah. And Abigail says people are pretty forgiving and understanding. And I think that's true for the most part. We're all making do and trying not to waste. But hi, Abigail. Thanks for coming. She's going to hopefully be helping us out in a few minutes with her.
Hey everyone, I'm just driving from something to my home, so I'll be a quiet listener for a bit.
Okay. I've actually put your subject on for last, knowing that you had
That's
you
great.
weren't going to
Thank
be
you.
home right away. So.
I have a quick question about
Sure.
I'm wondering how many libraries used the seeds this year anyway, despite being closed. Because I know our library, White Pine, did. We did a virtual thing, and then we had the seed packets out there. So we already used all of ours up.
Right. Not too many, but some did. And I think you let me know that. I kind of, people were responding to the one email I sent out about that. So we're going to, anybody who already used theirs will get more. So we'll just treat you as if you never got them. So I'll try to, yeah. And somebody said they weren't able to get their kit before COVID, and that was many people's situation, because a lot of people were planning on picking them up at the Rural Library Conference, which didn't end up happening. So unless you got them at Ben's Central Michigan Seed Swap, you probably won't, didn't get them. So most people are in that boat. So if you didn't get them and or you used yours, because some people were able to give them away before COVID hit. So we'll make sure you get more. I'm just going to try and get with everybody before I send their packets and find out their status if I don't already know. So I would like to move on to the Michigan Seed Library website and fundraising. We haven't been covering our I guess our expenses for the annual website, and somebody's been paying them out of pocket, but we can't, that's not a solution to those problems. Ben had the idea of having a sale of some, maybe selling excess seeds or extra donated seeds. But that's kind of small potatoes, considering that we have to come up with this $100 for the website every year, plus some other expenses if we want to move forward. So if anybody has any great ideas now or in an email or something, if you could kind of give this some thought. And our website has, we have a great start. We have a great foundation for our website, but we haven't been able to do a lot with it. Personally, I have access to the website. I've been able to put some stuff on it about the seed, the One Seed, One State, but that is not my wheelhouse by any stretch of the imagination. So if there's other people that are more comfortable working within that and would like to take that on, Ben and I were thinking maybe possibly a subcommittee that would explore ideas to update and improve the website. I think we would like to see more member stories submitted by our various websites. This is my seed library. This is how we got started. These are our challenges. These are our rewards. Anything that you would like to say, we could put on the website, along with a couple of photos. I think it would really help new seed libraries and existing seed libraries if they could kind of get more of a visual, idea of what their neighbors and fellow seed librarian people are doing. Maybe some more how-to documents for the website, how to, and with COVID, I don't know, some of the things that we're going to discuss in a few minutes, but, we don't know what it's going to look like in the future with how people do things. There might be some fundamental changes in how we have to run our seed libraries, but also something on the website about outreach and fundraising. I hate to keep beating that poor dead horse, but we really do need to find a way to make some money. And there's really, unless somebody else has some other ideas, the only way we can think of is to become a nonprofit. so we can apply for grants, apply, for donations. Does anybody here have expertise in becoming a nonprofit? Crickets. Well, the other option, I know for our Friends of the Library group, we just had a member that had never done it before, and she just put her nose to the grindstone and worked through the process. I know there are companies out there that you can pay to have them do it for you, but that's not really realistic for us. But again, somebody coming in. I'd like to find or to see a subcommittee form to work on this. Now, someone said something about a $10 membership. That would help. I mean, there's 70, unfortunately, we lost a couple of libraries during COVID. They just threw in the towel, at least temporarily. But there's still around 70 libraries. If everybody put in $10 a year, then that would be $700 to put toward all these things. That would be significant. But keeping in mind that there are some libraries that have absolutely no funding. I know some of our libraries support our seed library financially and beyond. And some libraries are, they just simply don't have even a $10 to spare, unless
I like
it's
the
out of
idea
somebody's pocket.
I like the idea of membership, and I think that when you just think about 70 times 10 is $700, and what we could do with that is great. But for me, my hesitation with membership is that lack of resources that some folks have. And while we could convince some libraries to sponsor other libraries or whatever it is, membership to me seems to form this like exclusive club type of thing, that way of thinking. To me, it's so important that this is a resource that's available to everyone, everywhere. People, organizations, communities that have the least amount of resources are the ones that need the seed libraries the most, right? And I think that a membership system almost kind of, in a way, excludes the people that need what we offer the most. And I know there's not a lot of other options, I guess, on the table right now for fundraising. The nonprofit avenue, although a headache to possibly get started, opens the doors to so many potential resources that then we could make available to everyone, regardless of membership or anything like that.
Well, I agree. And although, yeah, sponsorship would be a one option. I know that, like I said, there's several libraries that have, stepped up to help with other things. So I'm certain that that would be a great option.
Or what if we
too.
think of it like this, like with this fundraiser? So this fundraiser concept that I have for selling seeds, just to get everybody up to where I'm at on that thought, is somebody donated to me a pretty good quantity of 2 very beautiful and unique rare beads. And they wanted me to do something with these, And I thought, well, this would be a perfect opportunity if we sell these to, let's say, all of the UC librarians that would be willing to spend $10 on a membership. Maybe you'd be willing to spend $10 on a couple packets of these rare beads, where it's an exchange like that. And at $5 a packet, which may seem steep for a pack of seeds, but we sell on our Small House Farm website a lot of seeds at $4 or $5 a packet, and do quite well with it. For something that's a good cause, as a fundraiser, a $5 packet of seeds, I've got enough seeds to produce, I bet, 100 packages. So we could raise some money that way. And that's open to everyone, not just libraries and their memberships, but anybody that wants to support what we're doing.
I agree. And the our Facebook group, this particular group is just what we've cobbled together from people who actually have seed libraries. But there's like 800 people in our greater Michigan Libraries Facebook group. And so I wouldn't be surprised if some of those people would be happy to purchase some of these seeds. I mean, and it's we'll have to figure out shipping and handling and who's going to do that. And because then the flip side from that is somebody's got to package and send out those seeds. And
Well, what happened when I got these seeds was I accidentally also somehow ended up with some extra money at the same time. And I feel like those two things weren't a coincidence that they happened at the same time. So I would easily be able to cover, I've already got all the seed packages here, you know what I mean? Packeting and mailing all these seeds would be something that I'd be willing to cover, in the meantime. Obviously, long term, that's not as sustainable, but for right now, to get us some money to pay for the things we need, I'm more than willing to cover that cost.
yeah, and I don't know how long the process is going to take to become a nonprofit. Let's see. Well, people are already coming in the comments talking, with ideas about Kickstarter, GoFundMe. The problem with any kind of grants or things like that is we don't have a bank account to put them into. That's part of becoming a nonprofit, is having a bank account, and that it's overseen by the group. And I suppose we could just get a bank account for the group and bypass, if we could fundraise, but it kind of cuts us out of getting grants. I think most grants you have to be a nonprofit.
Pam, that was my question. This is Julie.
Hi, Julie.
Hey, sorry I'm late. I was like, oh my
problem.
gosh, I almost missed you guys. Of course, I was working on trying to find grants, and there just wasn't anything for our setup.
Mhm.
So being a nonprofit would open those doors then?
Yeah, I think so. And I don't think we have any, the thought of becoming a juggernaut or anything, but it would certainly, I think we could do so much good. Somebody suggested running it through one of the library's friends groups. I suppose that's an option, but it might my husband happens to be the treasurer of our friends group, and there's so much, everything has to be so transparent and so accounted for that I don't know if that would, maybe people, I'm sure people know a lot more about this than I do, but I don't know if that's something we could do or not.
Okay, so let's jump on this. Maybe let's rewind our conversation a little bit, because the underlying theme has been these subcommittees, right? Website subcommittee, nonprofit subcommittee. Maybe this is a point in the conversation where we should choose some folks. I see Kim mentioned how easy getting a nonprofit together could be. And I haven't read all of Abby's comment here, but it looks like there's a lot of information there. So maybe they'd be some good candidates for getting them on board with this subcommittee, just a group of people that could converse, dig into that, find out what we need to do, how difficult it's going to be. It's going to cost some money. I know that. I think that's the most difficult part of it, is you got to pay a fee of some sort. But maybe if we could get a handful of folks, willing to commit to pursuing that line of thinking, would be a good option for us. If we decide at the end that it's not what we want to do, or it's not right for us, then at least we know. But maybe we need to start making that movement.
I agree, because many hands make light work, as they say, and it would be nice if we could spread some of it out and bring in more ideas, bring in more people's expertise in different areas. Now I've been having trouble keeping up with, getting a lot of great comments. We've had Amy from Millington and Abigail, who's is at MSU, have both put in comments relating to that. I know Abigail Harper is very willing and stands to help in any way she can with any of our endeavors. So I know, like I said, I think I don't know if she's driving right now or is able to come on and talk.
I am driving. I put in the chat just that I had maneuvered my budget around the first year to support the Seed Library website, because it was in conjunction with the class I was working with that helped develop it, and so I was kind of able to kind of sidestep some traditional approval processes that we need for things like that. And then in the second year, I just kept, if think it was the second year that I just kept paying it out of my own personal money. So MSU Extension doesn't do a lot of financial providing for outside initiatives because we spend a lot of time raising grants for our own stuff. And so, yeah, that was the essence of my chat comment.
Yeah. So I guess we have to, you know, and as you said at the end of your comment on the chat, that if we migrated it towards an MSU Extension webpage, would that kind of take away from the community based
Yeah, I think my worry with that is that it would be something that would be hard to undo and transfer. Like it would basically require creating a new platform on MSU Extension's servers for the website. And I think one of the things that's nice about it right now is it's not owned by anyone. You know, it has that ability to grow into a nonprofit, which I think would be harder to do if we migrate it to MSU Extension and then back. And that feels very like maybe short-term, short-sighted, I guess.
So I guess keeping that in mind, I know, and again, we were going to talk a little bit later with Abby about another idea she had. But I think what Ben said is if we could raise enough money, like with this seed sale this year, also if any, I know one person has come forward and said, I don't know if she's on today, she didn't know if she's going to be able to make it, but her library was thinking about, or she's going to take it to her library to see if they will fund a year of the website. But again, you know, they're not going to want to do it every year, I doubt. So we need to come up with a sustainable option. Yeah, we've got, I see a couple of volunteers for the nonprofit sub committee. That's awesome. Thank you. If anybody else, and then if you want to think about it, just email me and we'll.
At the same time, we should come back, circle to that previous conversation about a subcommittee to discuss the website, which is probably an easier subcommittee for folks to be on, aside from somebody that knows how to do something with the website, which you know, Pam could get you the information for logins and such for editing, but like a brainstorm group, just to kind of talk about how we can best utilize that platform, gathering some community stories from other librarians, and that sort of thing. I think that would be a fun, creative project for some folks that, you know, would be interested in doing that.
Yeah.
And it's crucial that we do it. I mean, that website's important. It's kind of our face to the world. And like Pam had mentioned in her last email, the reminder email to everyone about our meeting today, what we have here, this collaborative of seed libraries across the state, is unique unto itself. I've traveled all about and spent a lot of time with seed librarians all over the country, and something like this doesn't exist anywhere else.
Yeah.
Especially functioning as well as this one already is. So keeping that momentum and keeping what we're doing here happening is, I mean, it's huge, really.
I know it not just only support seed libraries in Michigan, but to become like a model for some other states. I think the only other state I can think of that even comes close is California. They have a pretty, at least regionally, they have a pretty good system of seed libraries. So yeah, I think, and then this is kind of semi off topic, but actually it goes into my next. So yeah, think about the subcommittees. Yeah, we're getting a couple other people in the chat that have volunteered. So yeah, think about it. I don't think this should be too much of a strain on anyone. You know, if we get enough people to help, it won't be a lot for any one person to do. So, and Jean says she could help with the creative end of the website. Definitely. I mean, that's what we're really looking for, is how can we make this website a good resource? Can we make it an inspiration? And also, you know, for new libraries that are just I mean, I mean, it would have been really great to have had that years ago when some of us first started our libraries around 2012, 2013. You know, we didn't have anybody to really model after. So I think it's a really great thing. Oh, good, we got a couple of others. So yeah, I'm going to write those down. Okay, awesome. Well, we've got a little bit of a start. Tina wants to know how many people we need. I don't know if there's a set amount. I think you have to have a minimum of probably 3 people, and more the merrier. I guess you don't want to get it too cumbersome. So think about it. You can always drop me a line later, and I'll start trying to put the people who contact me or have put in a chat, kind of put them in contact with each other. Next meeting time, I don't know. I'm up for this type of a meeting more often than just once a year. But you know, it's like I said, I don't want people to feel like, oh my God, there they go again, you know, wanting me to come to another meeting. You know, I want people to have input on how often they'd like to get together, and having subcommittees helps with that, because they can bring to the larger group, you know, their findings or their, you know, quarterly. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna just to kind of move this along a little bit. You know, we've already touched on supporting seed libraries, and the fact that a lot of libraries struggle, actually most. I can't think of a seed library that doesn't struggle with getting donations back from people who have taken the seeds. It's a perpetual problem. I think people often have a good intention when they borrow seeds from the seed library to return some seeds, and then life gets in the way, they forget. And supporting that with programming sometimes helps if you have, you know, programs at your library. Not everybody has the resources to do that, to hire speakers or to provide their own programming. And we were kind of thinking about, again, as a group, possibly, and we'll move on to that in just a little bit. Abby Harper was going to talk about that a little bit, about an idea she had. So does anyone have any strategies that they use during the shutdown or in any time for getting better donations? Or I know that some people, I think that we almost have to write off 2020 as far as, because I am actually getting a few donations in from people who are just kind of used to it. You know, they do it almost every year. But I'm assuming a lot of libraries are not getting a lot this year, and that's very demoralizing. I think if the idea of having your seed library is that you're going to get a lot of return, because it's usually pretty low, our returns, and it's kind of something we have to accept to a certain extent. We can still provide programming and encouragement, but I was kind of inspired by a group, I'm blanking on their name, but it was kind of spearheaded by a group in New Jersey that was starting. They were, when COVID hit, they became alarmed, and they started really actively working and reaching out and getting seed donations, which they in turn were distributing to seed hubs around the country. And I got some. I know Michael got some. I think, didn't you, Michael? Yeah. And so we try, and in turn we can distribute out too. And I think if we kind of start thinking statewide, forming, you know, I'm blanking on the word I'm trying to use, but soliciting, I guess, seeds from seed companies in bigger amounts. So, and I know Ben has done that through the Central Michigan Seed Swap, where he's gotten donations from seed companies that he gives out that people are allowed to take at that, but kind of expanding on that statewide to seed libraries, if we could get help from some organizations or groups, and then maybe send care packages, especially to libraries who are really, really short on seeds. So it's just kind of an idea. I don't really have any, any great ideas about how to carry that out other than another subcommittee. So, and I think a lot of seed companies this year sold out. They were unprepared for the amount of seeds that they were going to be selling, and which makes me think it might even be rougher this year to get donations from seed companies than ever before. So I'm a little concerned about that, and I don't want to lose any more seed libraries in the state. That they're just barely hanging on, that they can't get seeds, or they can't get returns on for people who have borrowed seeds. So I'd like to, as a group, kind of strategize how we can not only distribute seeds to through our own seed libraries, but to assist other seed libraries too, to give them out. So, and I know some libraries, manage to give out thousands of packets, like Kim Lund says, and that's a very successful. It's a very successful campaign. Kim, do you get a lot back from people? You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, we haven't had much success with that at all.
Yeah. So, and sometimes I think sometimes we have to kind of change our thinking about it, and kind of readjust our thinking to giving away to becoming like a distributor, I guess.
Well, seed returns isn't necessarily the best metric of success for a seed library, And if we gauge our success on seed returns, then we're all setting ourselves up to be very sad, because it is the greatest challenge of all, for sure. But when you can distribute thousands of packets of seeds, especially during a crisis like this, man, that's a huge success. That's awesome. And I think that the situation that we found ourselves in this spring is the perfect example of why seed libraries are so important. When you can't even buy seeds from your regular seed company, the websites crash and they're out of seeds, it's not accessible, and people panic like that. To know that your own community, your library has seeds for everybody. I mean, that's what a reassuring thing. That's such important work that you guys are all doing. It's so cool. I think as far as large scale donations, Pam, I think this again beats that dead horse about the nonprofit status, especially considering so many seed companies have such a low stock of leftover seeds that we would normally be getting our hands into. To getting a good quantity of them, being able to be a nonprofit and have that be a sweet write-off for these companies, especially the larger companies, would be very helpful. But I think, like you use the seed swap as an example. I hustle hard to get all those seeds. It's a lot of work to get that many companies to send that many seeds for me to give away. But it pays off every time. And if we were to maybe, a subcommittee, and have a few people coordinate that effort, so we're not doubling up, but have a coordinated attack under the umbrella of the Michigan Seed Library Network, there's the potential that we could get a great quantity of seed. But what we would need is the seed libraries that need the seed at the end of the day to solicit us, to come to us, to look for donations, and we'd have to find some sort of way to prioritize the need. What libraries have the greatest need? Less resources, larger community, however we're going to gauge that, so we know exactly how to then disperse the seeds out to the people.
Yeah, are you familiar with Dave Kleineman's work group?
Oh, sure. I helped. I sat in on some of the first phone calls.
Yeah, so did I. I kind of got, and I did receive seeds from them, great seeds, and just managed to distribute them. I kind of I like that model and thinking about doing it on a statewide basis. We have several seed companies in Michigan. You know, I know some of them personally, and also, and I know that as a group, we get when I talk to other people from other seed libraries, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I got this stuff from," I won't name names, but I got something from Seed Company B. And I said, well, you know, I got something from Seed Company A, but Seed Company B didn't return my emails, you know. So, I mean, it seems so hit and miss right now. And like you said, it takes an enormous amount of effort and time to just solicit all these different companies. And I just wonder, can we encourage our, and I actually did get some provider, Nature and Nurture at your seed swap. Ben just walked up and gave me some provider seeds that they had. And he said, here, this is, you know, and I thought, and we didn't even ask them for them. And I thought, what could happen if we started asking more as a group rather than just, you know, and I can imagine my husband and I have a business, and I can just imagine if I received 40, 60, 80 requests for my product to give away, I might just get overwhelmed and say, I can't deal with this, or I can only deal with the first 10 that, you know, ask me. But if we could put in a request as a group rather than, and then distribute as needed to other people, that would be one option. Another option is to buy a few seeds, just, and that's what I do for our library too, is I know that there's certain seeds that everybody wants every year. Oh my gosh, everybody in the planet must be covered with basil. And that seems, you know, so there's certain things that everybody wants. So, I mean, I'm lucky enough to be supported by my library and have a budget where I can buy a few seeds every year, and kind of, I call it seeding the seed library with the really popular stuff, because beyond just, like you said, the metrics of getting seeds back, but it's, I see more as like, how many can we distribute? That's, and I know some other people have, you know, kind of said that same, expressed that same sentiment on this chat, is that providing programming and seeds to people with the goal to getting people gardening, with less of an emphasis on getting stuff. We always, I think, should, because we want to promote seed saving too. So I think it's still important to keep that component of asking people to share seeds back to the library.
Well, at the end of the day, it'd be ideal if folks, you know, were saving enough of their own seeds that they didn't even need the seed library anymore, you know, that it just became a hub for community building. But, you know, if we had a nonprofit status where we could solicit donations from larger companies and we had a budget like that, then we would be in a position where we could gain access to a lot of seed to then distribute to everyone in the state. You know, and I think that if we think, the local seed companies, obviously I support that, but that's hard work and it's a slim profit margin. If we were to look to larger companies like even Baker Creek or Johnny's, or if we just got really goofy and started thinking like Burpee or something, well, you know, we're just a blip of nothingness to Burpee, and they could slice us off a chunk of something and not even think twice about it if we could solicit them as a nonprofit. I think that we'd be able to do a lot more with the same amount of legwork if we had that kind of in our pocket like that.
And I know, I don't know if Abby could speak to this, but we have at Tollgate Farm near us, it's an extension of the MSU family. They do a annual seed giveaway, and they get stuff from, I mean, I don't know, they must have a lot of pull, because they pull in a lot of seeds, you know, which they then, you know, distribute to the area, people in the area, and they target school librarians, or school teachers, and seed libraries, and you know, but they get an incredible amount of donations, and so I'm like, I want to drink what they're drinking. find out what's going on there. And I, you know, how are they doing that? And because if we could get that amount of seeds, I can't even imagine what good we could do as far as helping out all the seed libraries in the state. So,
Pam,
yeah.
I've got a question. This is Julie. I got a question because when I started mine, of course, first year, my Saturday was the last Saturday. The Saturday we had our seed library opening was the last Saturday we were open for 3.5 months. How are others packaging or giving away their seeds? Are they taking like a packet from Johnny's, Baker Creek, whatever, and giving the entire packet, or are they dividing them? Because I divided mine. I had volunteers come in and divided them. So they ended up with more like a sample, but yet it wasn't a sample because how many seeds do you need
Right.
to try this? And so I ended up with closer to like 1,500 packets of seeds to pass out. And so I still have over 1,000 myself, and am able to, you know, if I can get some more, I'll do that. But I don't have to, but I just wondered how others were doing it. That's all.
Anybody want to speak to that? I mean, I
I'll
know how
jump
we
in
do
there.
it. Yeah.
We're in the process of like a 3-week seed swap going on. And prior to now, I recruited about 10 or 11 people who are seed library involved. And I gave each of those 10 people a bin of seeds in whatever category. You can see them behind me here. They've already come back. So each person had a bin of seeds, and they were given an instruction packet and all the supplies they needed, and they would go through our inventory, our seed library inventory, and package at least 50 seed envelopes, seeds for 50 seed envelopes. And then we're using that to, shall we say, seed our seed swap. Obviously, people contributing seeds to the seed swap is going to be pretty minimal given the circumstances right now. So to kind of fortify the seed swap, we're using the seed library seeds to keep it going. And so we've got a tremendous amount of seeds available for the seed swap. And one of the things that we've done over the last, I guess, 5 years is that after a seed swap is over, I imagine this is the same for most people, but you have all these seeds left over that are available. So those get recycled into our seed library, and that becomes our inventory for the next year or two. And so that's how we are able to keep the seed swap going, is that we utilize the inventory that the seed library has acquired through various means.
What are the various means that you're using to acquire those seeds?
Sometimes we have some very generous seed growers, you know, private citizens that have donated a huge amount. We've done the route of asking seed companies, and somehow we've been able to make do. Maybe we don't have a lot of people taking seeds out or withdrawing seeds from the seed library, but somehow we've been able to manage over the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, I know a lot of seed libraries felt that they couldn't distribute during the closure because those of us who are in public libraries were shut down. And I know our director, is the way she understood the edicts that came down from the state was that we couldn't do anything anyhow. And I know a lot of other librarians, seed librarian people, said that they were shut out of their libraries if they had, they didn't have time to react. But I don't know if I skirted the law at all, but I basically, the first time I did it, I just did it all by email. I have a pretty good sized email database, and I do recommend that when people use our seed library, they have to register to use, they have to give us their information. And so I just add their email to this database, and then I just sent an email out to everybody and said, here's the list of what we have. And I'm going to put them out in a bin outside the library, even though they're closed. And then I ask them to come and just take them, find the bag with their name on it, and take it, and not, and socially distance if anybody else is there at the same time, and wear gloves, wear masks, and it worked out. And I probably did that 3 times over the period of the closure. And I guess, like I said, it was kind of legally gray what I was doing, but I wasn't going to sit on these seeds all summer, and have them just sit in the library. So I managed to get out a lot of seeds. I don't know if anybody else can speak to their experience, because I think we're all concerned that there could be a second wave, and we might be back to some sort of emergency distribution.
I was totally shut out of all the seeds were at the library. There was nothing I could do, and we were locked out. We were not to enter the building. So there was nothing I can do until we started opening up in July. And, it's past the time when you're going to start a tomato,
right,
or a cucumber. But I really got on the herbs and the late vegetables, and been doing very well. But and the branch I was in is down now because they're going to remodel it. On the seed cabinet's gone. So I actually got a suitcase with wheels on it. So if I get an inkling again that we're going to shut down anyway, seeds are coming with me.
Yeah.
They'll be in, and then I'll be able to follow the same thing. As long as you're social distancing, I don't see what was wrong with that. And if the seeds are already with me, not in the building itself, I don't hope there isn't another shutdown. I sure
Right.
hope not. But yeah, it did. It hurt the seed library circulation as much as that. I had people calling me. I had people emailing me. Boy, I really need some seeds, and it's like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. But I think that's a good idea about I know I have a handful of people that know to email me, but maybe if I have them in a certain base all together, and I can communicate with them more easily. Otherwise, everything goes out through the library newsletter or something, or the Facebook messages that the library is putting out, where I could maybe just target the ones that are really serious gardeners.
Yeah.
Pam, just a little bit on what we have been doing. We at White Pine District Library we have a little, what we call the library house. It's just a small building outside of the actual library. And our group we've been sorting seeds and giving seeds out in little packets of 10 different kinds of garden seeds. And that would be vegetable seeds and flower seeds. And it has gone over like gangbusters. We've put on the National Garden site and in our garden site and our seed library site that these seeds are available. And people come to our little greenhouse, what we call the library greenhouse, and they pick up these little packets. Now, our librarians are absolutely awesome. They have been setting up all of these seed packets for us. So we do not have to really go in there and do anything. We provide the seeds. They provide all of our packaging details via the bags, the labels, all of that. We provide the seeds. And we have gotten just a ton. We have gotten rid of thousands We have actually demolished our pretty much 90% of our seed cartel this year alone.
That's great.
One seed library, we did a seed librarian summit similar to this down in Florida with some of the Florida seed librarians. And one of them, one of the librarians that was there, they had taken and created little kits like that, like startup kits. So, beans, tomato, whatever, just little packages. So everybody got the exact same thing. So essentially you would email or Facebook and say, I need seed. And they would everybody get this little packet sent to them. So everybody got, a standard thing, but they were able to distribute quite a bit of seeds that way. Here at Small House, I've just been taking, those flat rate boxes, and it's $7 to mail a box or whatever. And somebody pays the $7.50 for shipping and they send me a request and I just fill that box up with whatever and just send it to them. It's a mix of something different, so it takes away the participants' ability to select specific varieties, but they still have access to getting the seeds one way or another. Those little kits, I think, is just a really handy way to distribute seeds quickly. And obviously, they got it going on there, thousands of packets of it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and then there's seeds that need to be started ahead of time, like tomatoes and peppers and eggplants. And then there's, I find that a lot of people are less interested in those sometimes because they don't have the wherewithal, either the equipment or the space or they don't feel comfortable in their knowledge of how to start seeds. So but we give a lot of, like you said, a kit of green beans, cucumbers, all direct sown summer items. Because a lot of people don't think about planting things early. That you have to think ahead to, February or March for some of these things. And experienced gardeners are used to thinking that way, but what we're trying to do is pull in people who may have never gardened before in their life. And I think that putting together a kit of super easy direct sown seeds is a good introduction. And then once you get them hooked, then you reel them in with with a little bit more challenging things.
We have put a seed, because everything's changed the way we used to do it. People can't come in and look at the cabinet. Our libraries are still, they just opened up so that people could come in the lobby. We've been doing just curbside all this time.
Okay.
So I had a tray at every branch with, an explanation, a seed library. So a lot of people that didn't know we had a seed library have been very enthusiastic and just thrilled with the seed. So we have actually moved a lot of seed. When I got a lot of milkweed and wildflowers, and there was a promotion about this is the time, this is how you do it, this is what you do. Mm-hmm. That was really hot. And so I think we're just going to keep on with that method until the weather is against it. But now I'm muted.
No, we can hear you.
I don't know. I'm touching things I shouldn't touch here. So that's working well, but I miss the being at my branch where people were constantly talking to me about it, where they're just like, I don't want it to become just a simple seed giveaway, where I want it to be like, this is why we're doing it. And this is what you can do to promote it, to, keep the seed. And I've lost that. Our administration has changed since I first started the library, and their priorities are very different. And I don't have the leeway I once had to make, to ask Ben to come and say, please come, we're and have a program. They're not on board with that so much. So I'm feeling like, is this the beginning of the end for the seed library where we are? Although the patrons are really liking it very much, but is the administration behind me? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So, but right now it's, people are thrilled right now. Hopefully in the spring we'll be able to do the same thing and have them available. Like I said, this time, any chance that I get that they're going to close the library, the seeds are coming with me. So I'll have, be able to help people, at least even if I mail them to them, I wouldn't mind, if these people want to grow, they should be able to grow.
Yeah. Well, I think, and that may be where the handful of libraries that aren't really affiliated with a public library might have a leg up on, because they really don't have to, well, depending on what kind of organization they're with, they don't necessarily have to, they're not dependent on a library board or a director or whatever powers that be to bless their endeavors. So, but yeah, I think what you said, I keep a lot of the excess seeds at my house because we're a very small library and we just don't have storage here. So pretty much whatever isn't actually physically in our seed library out for the public is stored at my house. So in a way, I had a lot of stuff, I could still operate to a certain extent without ever coming in the library, but I have a key. And I was here, I did come in during the closure and where we technically was illegal to do so, but I did it anyway, so cuff me. But yeah, I did keep peeking out at the parking lot to see if anybody was noticing that I was in there, but I really don't think that, the local constabulary are
on the wild side, Pam.
Yeah, I know. I'm a rebel and I don't care who knows it. But I really don't think the police or the sheriff or anybody was paying much attention to my one car in the parking lot. So I didn't feel like I was being too wild. It was more important to me to get the seeds out at that crucial time of year that, that all this went down. But I realize that a lot of people, we're a small library, we're kind of family-like here, and the library is very important. The seed library is important to our library. So, and I realize fully that not everybody has that latitude. So, which is another reason we need to kind of support each other and see if we can help in any way with, if somebody's seeds are locked away, can we get that person some and through a different channel so that they can distribute them. Anybody else have any ideas? I kind of in this stream is the same thing. I'd like to give Abby a kind of a chance to talk about her idea about collaborative programming, which is another thing that some libraries cannot afford. So Abby, I just kind of tell us what's on your mind.
Yeah, well, so my main thought for this is Michigan State University is instructed to do virtual programming indefinitely at this point, unless they're, urgent on-farm things people have to do. And I think I'm assuming a lot of libraries are probably limiting programming even if they are in person. So it seems like a good time to be a little bit more cross-state in our thinking about educational programming that goes along with our libraries. I've done quite a bit with a few of the libraries in my area in Greater Lansing, and they're pretty hit or miss as far as participation. So for my purposes, it'd be great to do fewer and have more people attend than be doing a bunch of one-offs with 4 to 5 people. And I think another thing that I've seen from a lot of the libraries is everyone seems to have a different specialty of like the thing that they hone in on, whether it's in our area, I know Bath Library is really into perennial flower seed saving. And then there are others that are more into, tomatoes or whatever it is. But that it might be an efficient use of all of our efforts to be thoughtful about, does each library provide one educational programming, and can we create some sort of calendar throughout the year so that we can co-market and promote as a collective? And kind of creates a project that we can all harness our energy around that feels in the spirit of like a nonprofit or a statewide collective that we could all promote and would save us all the hassle of developing our own independent programming. So that was kind of my thought. And I think, between all of us, we could get a pretty awesome yearly curriculum that allows different libraries to feature different stuff that they do, or brings in some cool speakers. I have some colleagues at MSU Extension that we've done seed saving education with before. I know Ben has done a ton of stuff at libraries before. So I'm trying to think of how can we make the best of COVID and use online platforms as a tool for getting all of our great knowledge that everyone has out further. So that was what was on my mind.
Are you thinking of some of it being sponsored by MSU and then some of it being sponsored by individual libraries, or are you thinking it's all each library comes up with their own, maybe possibly organized chaos where different libraries get together and say, well, I'll do this if I'll cover this topic if you'll cover that topic? Or
well, I could see it going a couple ways. I have programming that I do every year, and I could weave in where there are holes or where there's interest that maybe no individual library wants to speak to. And then I think in my mind, it could be like maybe punctuated with some MSU Extension webinars here and there on different topics. And just as y'all were talking about tomatoes and peppers and how people often don't know that you have to start those in March to get those things going, it could be, we could do programming around that in March and share it out with our seed libraries and patrons to get more people doing that. It's kind of like, I'm thinking, a lot of this conversation has been how do we get seeds to people? And I'm also interested in how do we use this network to build people's capacity to save their own seeds and
absolutely
continue to generate for themselves. And so it could be, periodic, workshops where we talk about a particular type of seed and show people how to save it. Maybe somebody does a really in-depth one on cucurbits and how to isolate. It could be people sharing stories from their library. I'm not super picky about the content so much as sharing and highlighting a lot of voices. And
right.
was mentioning he chimed in on Cabin Fever Conversations last year, which we're planning on reiterating again, but I'm kind of interested in how can MSU Extension help provide content so that you all aren't in your silos developing programming into, when we could be more collaborative.
Here's a thought, maybe see if I'm on the same train, Abby. So if we were to collaboratively organize maybe some thoughts on each month throughout the year, what we would want to have some programming. Like I think you think when, March, February, we're talking about tomatoes. Obviously the seed libraries, if we're in person, we'd be distributing the seeds, but we could have every month we have a program from planning to planting to harvesting to seed saving to preserving and using the food at the end. Some of the libraries I've been to, I've seen that they've scheduled some awesome preservation and cooking workshops to help people utilize their harvest, which really brings it full circle real nice. So we could develop maybe this list of 12, monthly workshops to put underneath the Michigan Seed Library's umbrella, where we promote it as one big thing that's happening. And then each month, maybe have it hosted by a different seed library, where they'll handle the Zoom meeting or whatever, but to kind of use it as an opportunity to highlight the different seed libraries all around the state. Something like that.
That sounds great. Yeah, I think that's what I had in mind. And for MSU Extension, we can do some of the education, and I can also provide technical support and hosting if folks want to do that, because I don't know how many libraries have Zoom licenses and all those
right.
things. But I'd be happy to be coordinator and do tech on any of the ones that we're not, developing content for or whatever. I feel like that's something we can offer.
Yeah, that is a great idea, because the Zoom license for, I think you get up to 100 people, and then to go through the one beyond that is really expensive.
I'm pretty sure our webinar license, because I learned this last year, our basic one goes up to 500. And if we get registration far beyond that, we have like one for the entire university that people move around who has it for one-off bigger ones. So I think MSU Extension would be a good resource for hosting that and organizing.
Absolutely, because I think ours is up to 100, and so maybe some of the bigger libraries might have more, but that would be a great offer to, so that smaller libraries or less funded libraries can still participate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Julie mentioned pre-recorded videos in the chat too. I see no reason to not have those. It could be, you know, a balance where maybe every month we have one webinar where people can join on and listen and ask questions, and we can record them and make them available afterwards. And then we could do some shorter videos if folks are interested in that. I've participated in a couple of virtual, or I'm currently participating in virtual conferences and things like that, where they've pre-recorded the videos, and it just has taken away all interest for me, because I feel like I'm just having to sign in at a certain time to watch a video and not be able to interact with people.
I agree, Abby. The pre-recorded videos where there's no Q&A or interaction, I think really you lose a lot of the quality of that.
Yeah. So we could do like a balance of things where folks are not as comfortable doing presenting, they do some pre-recorded videos and it's followed by some conversation or discussion or questions with folks. I think we could come up with a blend of that, but.
And again, circling back to the website being the way that we can disseminate some of this information, also through maybe Facebook or whatever, but yeah, if everybody could come up with something, we could coordinate it. And the other thing is if you feel comfortable, you know, to save money, and I do a lot of programming myself. It's not ideal, because I would love to have a paid presenter for every possible program, but that's not, and I don't think that many libraries can do that. But if you can come up with programming yourself using your, like you said, everybody has different areas of expertise. Maybe yours is doing perennials as opposed to vegetables.
So maybe we could collectively compile a list of programs that we feel would be appropriate for each month, and maybe an idea of who may present them. If you've done a program at your library that was fantastic, that you'd like to repeat, you know, we could follow up with those people to book that, or something like that.
Would it help if I created like a Google survey or form that I could send out to folks where you could suggest a topic that your library would be interested in hosting in a month, and then I could kind of organize that way? I see some thumbs up.
Yeah. Well, and on the email that I've been sending out, I normally blind copy most groups, but on this particular group, I felt like we should know each other's names. So I have, you know, so everybody has access to the mailing list if they want to, you know, set up something, you know, like a response, or if anybody wants to collect any information. I hope no one objects to that, because like I said, normally I blind copy, but with this group, I think it's good that we know who we are.
Would folks feel like it would be important to have a consistent day and time, or is it okay to be flexible with when things are according to what works for individual libraries, and just not have it, you know, not be like a first Monday of the month kind of thing, but it just like whenever programming is able to happen? No preference.
Yeah, I guess different libraries. I
think flexible is good, because then we can probably get flexibility in attendance as well. So.
Well, and I know that with our calendar here at this library, that I have to compete with several other groups for, you know, the Zoom calendar. And so I can't just say you know, I can't hog it all so I'm happy to, I think it would be better if we could be a little bit flexible anyways about when people do things.
Well, and I gotta say, part of the reason I'm thinking this is because with being online, I feel like MSU Extension is competing with like Illinois Extension and Ohio Extension, and our regional focus is not honed in enough. And I'm like, we all don't need to be doing the same programming
right
at different times, you know? So, all right, so I will, I'm gonna create a Google survey that asks folks about their topic of interest that they would want to highlight, and anything about time of year or day of the week or what their limitations are, as well as additional topics they might be interested. Because I can think about if there are topics of interest or that they feel would be important that none of us want to talk about, I can reach out to MSU Extension folks to be Yes.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Okay.
What I was saying about the pre-recorded was amongst other things, and it's in the chat, and I don't know if you noticed it. Tim Gleisner did an interview with April Behrens on her book Roughage, which was a Michigan Notable book. So that type of thing, he wants that stuff out. That's available to us. I'm wondering if we want to make that an option as well, that if people find things that are available and people want to share. I mean, Tim's like,
totally.
"Hey, share, please share." I know because I was one of them who got Abra and I didn't get her, and I was so but nonetheless, that is an option. So that's one of what I was saying with pre-recorded is not so much the informational ones you're talking about, or the educational, maybe informational. I did an informational one on seed libraries where I talked about a lot of books, and I know you guys had it somewhere. Pam, I don't know where you guys put it or if you put it anywhere. But that's what I'm talking about with pre-recorded, not like I said.
I appreciate you clarifying, Julie. And I think that I think it would be great to share out those as part of our work or as resources alongside. Or if there were ones that we wanted to create as a network, if we wanted a video on wet processing tomato seeds or something like that.
I think too, a video, if somebody wanted to put together a program on how to start a seed library, that we could have on our website, because I think this is I mean, when everybody hears about that you have a seed library, they're like, oh, that's so cool. That's so wonderful. And I think, well, if more people you could kind of envision themselves doing that rather than just hoping someone else does it. Maybe. But yeah, if we could have a list of pre-recorded videos on the website, would be awesome.
Okay, cool. Well, I think gauging interest and creating a next step for myself were the main things that I wanted out of this. So works for me.
Awesome. Well, I think if you're going to go forward with that, sending out that Google form, is there anything else anybody wanted to cover? If the comments have come in pretty heavy, so I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be recording this, or this is being recorded. So probably tomorrow, I'll hopefully get it up and give you a link to it, so that you and we can go back and look at things and also see what the people who couldn't participate might want to get in on. I think it's inspiring when we all get together and talk like this. Sometimes I think, again, we feel kind of alone in our little seed libraries, and to find a way that we can all pull together and do collaborative programming, collaborative seeds sharing. We just need more people to come involved, because and I feel really happy about the fact that we already have some people signing up for some committees, and I'd like the rest of you to consider possibility doing that. Possibly with, a lot of people offered in the chat, if you could just shoot me an email in addition to that, so I don't want to miss anybody. Heaven, it's such a great resource. So if you could just shoot me an email about what subcommittee you'd like to be on, or if you don't have a preference, we'll see who needs some bodies. But yeah, I'd like to open it up to, before we go, to anybody who has anything else to add, to say, you got an idea you want to throw out there. Have at it. Come on. Okay, I'm just, again, getting a lot of comments here at the end.
There was a really great food literacy during the pandemic webinar. That's what it was called, food literacy during the pandemic. I think that was through Niche Academy, which would make it available to everybody. So they might want to look that one up, because she talked about a whole slew of ideas that way, including, incorporating seed libraries and the like. So something for everybody to think about. Obviously, when we do the A to Z, spring to fall programming for the seed libraries and for people.
Julie, what was that academy you said? I didn't catch the name.
Okay. Niche Academy, Niche Academy. I'm pretty sure that was the one it was through. And it was the gal that wrote the food literacy book for ALA, because we got a discount because we sat in our things, so it was kind of cool.
Right. I'll check that
Do you want me to
out.
put it in the chat too, or?
Sure. I think somebody, maybe you did, or
I said something about food literacy, but not.
yeah. Okay, that's probably what I saw. Great, absolutely great. So yeah, I guess I have no problem with gathering up lists of resources and then figuring out how to get them on the website. So if you have any other ideas about, there's a lot of gardening videos out there on YouTube, and some of them I look at and I'm like, well, that's just not right. and at least according to me. And some of them are very, some of them are done in California or Arizona, and they don't really apply to Michigan gardening. And that's another thing we have going for us. And, with collaborating with MSU and with each other, is that we're local. We're sitting on information that is important for people in our state to know how to garden. Well, we've been on for an hour and a half. That's awesome. Anybody else want to say anything, or I really come forth? Okay. Well, I guess we'll sign off. Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, did you have
I was
something?
just saying bye. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for participating, and I'm going to get with Ben, and maybe we can strategize a little bit more about how to get get these seed donations coming in, so that we can get us all off to a good start for 2020 to 21. Oh my gosh.
Right on. Yo, man, you guys are awesome. Like, for real, you're heroes to me. I look up to every single one of you. You guys are fantastic, and you're doing some of the most important work that can be done today. So regardless of the challenges that we face, let's just keep moving forward together. Obviously, we can do anything that we set our minds to, man. And you guys are all freaking awesome. Thank you for making this possible.
Well, those are inspirational words, Ben. I'm so glad you could make it this time. And I'm really glad that this virtual, now that none of us did this really much before. And now that we're all used to this, there's no reason that we can't have meetings, all over the state like this. They don't, instead of everybody drive, a handful of people that are local being able to drive to the summit. Now we can have somebody from Marquette and, and somebody from Lansing, and somebody from Midland, and we got people from all over, and I think that's great, and I think it's going to be a great tool for us to move forward. So thank you, everybody, and like I said, I'll try to get this up tomorrow on I don't know how, YouTube, something. That's for our library or our computer technician to worry about. I just give her the file and say, here, put it on. So okay, bye everybody. Thank you.